Hey everyone, I'm Mr. Hallease. I'm a registered nurse. And before we get into the podcast today, just a couple quick words. So, I'm away from the bedside, but I can still see the effects of the pandemic. On the walk from the parking garage to my clinic, I used to see a whole bunch of cars parked next to the garage. There's this little area that you can pull up through. There's a lot of construction going on in the hospital anyway, so I never really thought much of it. Took me a couple of days to realize that they were not construction workers and they were looking into the windows of the hospital. And my mind clicked and realized that that was the ICU and that they were trying to see their family members as best they could through a couple of millimeters of glass. And it's because they weren't allowed into the hospital. Those people were clearly impacted by the virus. I'm sure there's thousands of other people. I think it's 5 million at this point in the U.S. Blacks and Latinos are disproportionately impacted by the virus. Black Americans make up about an eighth of the U.S. population, but they make up a quarter of overall COVID cases. They're more likely to be frontline workers. There's a higher rate of comorbidities, so there's asthma, heart disease, diabetes, obesity. And being a Latino man, I mean, we also have the same issues. So not trying to be a downer in all this, but you, whether you like it or not, have buy-in in how the U.S. reacts to the virus. What can you do to protect yourself, your loved ones, and, other people that you kind of like? Regardless of how efficient you think the masks are, just wear one. Wearing any sort of barrier in front of your face limits the amount of viral particles that you breathe in and limits the amount that you breathe out. So it's better than not having anything at all. Wash your hands for 20 seconds, whether it's with soap and water or hand sanitizer. Make sure the hand sanitizer is greater than 60%. Make sure it doesn't have methanol in it because it burns the crap out of your hands. And it's not part of the growing list of hand sanitizers that's being recalled. So physically distance yourself. 6 feet is good. Even more is better. Half a mile away, if I don't like you that much, that's too close. Anyway, let's get down to the episode.
Hey everyone, I'm Hallease, a digital storyteller and video producer.
And I'm Mr. Hallease, and I have acid reflux.
All right, and this is the StumbleWell Podcast. That's just something on the couch. But this is the StumbleWell Podcast. It's just a couple that you know, talking about marriage and life and other such things. Life's a journey. You're going to stumble through it. Stumble well with us. Today's episode is actually a Patreon producer question, I want to say.
You too can become a Patreon producer by going to patreon.com/Hallease, Hallease. That's Hallease.
Okay. And they asked, in so few words, will we ever buy a home again? Ever?
In case you didn't know,
yes.
End of 2017 and the entirety of 2018,
yes,
we did purchase a home.
We did.
Say what you will about, or lay the blame as to who did what or who didn't do what or who was at fault.
Right.
And there's some Poochie licking.
That's all right. Poochie's getting some water behind us, but that's cool. Okay.
We were displaced / homeless. I mean, we were homeless for...
I like to say displaced because we had a safe place to lay our heads at night.
Yeah, I mean, it still falls under the definition of homeless.
Okay.
Per the was it it's HUD?
Oh, is it? Does it fall under? Oh, right. I remember you told me it was
housing and urban development. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we did meet. We technically met their qualification.
There's a spectrum of homelessness, and we were on it.
We were on it. Yeah.
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 So that happened. We were finally able to unload the home.
Yeah, we ended up suing the seller and settling with the seller on the home.
And
then we short sold the house.
Right. The mortgage company was able to do some sort of, what do you call that? It's like pre-foreclosure. It's a pre-foreclosure option. Yeah. We also need to do a StumbleWell or video on that. We meant to do it.
We did. We talked about everything we learned from house buying for anyone who was going to buy it. Yeah, that was one of our StumbleWell episodes.
Check that one out.
I'll link to it in the show notes.
But yeah, so we did that, and we were finally able to get an apartment
Yes.
and live on our own.
Yes. Needless to say, it was a tumultuous year.
So would we ever do that again?
Would we ever become homeowners again?
2.0, the right time.
Yeah. I actually am going to go ahead and say no.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh, okay. That's not the answer I expected.
I know you wouldn't expect this answer, but I'm going to go ahead and say no because we talked about it a little bit last night. But I feel like it makes zero sense to become a homeowner while we have so much student loan debt.
You don't think we'll ever get the student loan taken care of?
I'm
my
just,
student loan?
I'm
my
more,
burden?
Anyway, I'm more focused on the student loans first. And I don't feel comfortable taking on a home purchase again without the student loans being gone.
Student loan update. We brought it down. What, 12,000?
This is a praise report.
Appraise report, 12,000.
Right.
We've gotten rid of $12,000 of the student loan.
Yes, we have. Really proud of that. Amazing. But we still have quite a ways to go.
Right, once the interest kicks back in, looking to you, both houses of Congress, give me relief for another year, please.
Anyway, so with all that being said, yeah, I just don't think it's realistic to be saving to buy a house when we still have so much student loan debt to pay off.
Well, no, so the question is, will you ever buy a house?
I don't know, because how long we finna have this student loan debt?
Ooh, man, is this podcast actually going to be about student loan debt?
I mean, kind of, sort of. But I know right now we're on track to pay off all of the student loans in like 6 or 7 years.
Let's say 7.
Okay. We're off 7 years. So I'll be 37.
Uh-huh.
Like, what am I doing at that point? I don't know if there's like a benefit to owning a house at that point, or if I even want to. Also, another note.
Well, I did not expect this episode to take
the turn
to take
that
this
it's
path.
taken.
Yeah.
Other thing, I don't know if I'm still going to be in this country by the time I'm 37.
I thought you were going to say, I don't know if I'm going to be in this relationship at 37.
No.
What is that?
But I don't know if I'm going to necessarily be in this country at 37. So then that's another thing. Like, why am I buying a house when I kind of low-key have one foot out the door? So
I almost wanted to talk to you about that topic. That's a whole different type of topic.
that's a whole nother episode. If y'all want to see that one / listen to that one, let us know. That's something else that's like been ruminating in my mind for a few years, actually. Even before 2020, I had already started thinking about trying to live abroad for like a year or two, like what that would look like for us. And I would say that 2020 has just kind of intensified what I was already interested in trying to do. Because I've talked to you about that a couple times throughout our relationship. Of like, man, it would be cool to live abroad for a while, just to do that while we don't have kids and we don't have just a lot of too much responsibilities that I would make
burdens.
I don't want to say burdens.
Ties, anchors, weight,
just responsibilities.
loads.
So, I don't know. I don't know if I ever want to be a homeowner again. Really.
I would make the argument that we were never homeowners. Remember, I said that last night. We were homeowners in formality, like in name only, because we had the home.
Yeah.
But I mean, technically, any homeowner that has a mortgage, you are not a homeowner. You are
facts.
Your name is on a document that if you end up completely paying the bank, then you get the home. Otherwise,
you don't own it yet.
I mean, you get a portion of it if you sell it off. Sorry, if you sell it off at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even then, you're
Sure.
like partial investor. Like that kind of seems like the transaction that's happening. Like if you have a mortgage and you bought the home at like $200 and you sold it for $250 and you've paid,
I guess you're
like
like a
$40,000. So then you've made a little bit of money.
I mean, I guess you're a partial investor.
That's the whole reason. I mean, that's one of the primary reasons why people buy homes is to, like, that's the fastest way to accumulate wealth, like as an investment.
It used to be.
Well, so right. But that's still an argument, a major argument for most people.
Right. I could see myself renting a house again just because, yeah, I appreciated when we did live. We used to rent a house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
Yep.
And I appreciated that house. It was really cool. There's a lot of videos shot in that house. And yeah, I liked having the extra space. People could stay over if they wanted to. All that kind of stuff. Ain't nobody coming over now. COVID. Social distance. But Yeah, I appreciated the house for what it was worth then. But even then, on the flip side of that, I also feel like when you have a house, then you feel the need to accumulate more things, and I don't like having a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I also know that what I want in a house, I cannot afford. So why am I looking at them?
Yeah, I mean, say what you will, but if we were to buy a house in the area that we'd want to buy it in, even something that's kind of that needs money invested into it, it's about $350.
I think it'd be like $250, $275 if it needed some work done. We could probably get it for that. But
in the areas that you want? No.
I think so.
No, there's no way.
I think so.
I'm checking my volume.
Okay. Well, I think so. Hey, everyone. Thank you for listening / watching this episode of the StumbleWell Podcast.
Yeah.
A few quick announcements, if you will. First, if you can watch an ad, please do if you're watching us on YouTube, because that will help us out. It is politics time, so if it is a certain someone you are seeing and that makes you feel a certain type of way, feel free to skip. I can only do but so much to limit political ads on the channel, so sorry in advance for that.
Skip it in spirit.
Yeah.
Because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, so sorry in advance for that. The other thing you can do is engage with us. Please comment down below with your thoughts, experiences. We like to keep the conversation going in the comments whenever possible.
Or questions, because we need topics. We need topics for the podcast so badly.
That too.
Or support Hallease on Patreon.
Oh, there you go. That
Patreon.com /
I just say /.
Patreon.com/Hallease.
Yes.
HALLEASE.
Yes. There you get early access to these episodes before they go live for everyone else. You also get private weekly vlogs from me. Monday Motivations. And you also get production classes. I have like whole courses on there as well. So you can learn how to edit for yourself. And then I'm also working on a class right now, how to produce a video podcast.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's gonna be the next one. The Patreon producers voted and they wanted to learn that next. And I was like, okay,
Boom.
I'll teach you. So I'll go over all the gear we use.
Ooh, do it on a budget.
How we film, and then I'll also go over how to do it a little bit more cheaply as well. Yeah, because I feel like the gear we use is a little expensive, so I'll show you how to do it cheaper as well. So
what a bargain.
Multiple options on that.
What an amazing value.
Yeah. Patreon.com/Hallease. And then, merch. If the spirit moves you, merch. But, merch.
I still like the idea of owning a house. I would be a little bit more committed to maintenance, just because you just kind of need to be. So AC maintenance. And it's just super expensive. Like, again, this is all kind of... We touched on this last night, where it takes money, and we talked about this in the other podcast episode. It takes money not just to buy the house, but in reserve to pay off anything that goes wrong. But people who are just above minimum wage and such, and they buy a house, even if it's cheaper, it's just like, how are you maintaining? And then what if anything goes wrong? Like, how are you handling that or fixing it or what?
Right, exactly.
It just seems like a monumental burden.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind the amenities of a house. I really do want a yard. Again.
Yeah.
Just so we can officially hang out. I don't want to hear my neighbors. I don't want to hear my neighbor's dog barking through. And even then, you're still going to get that with the house.
Yes.
You don't get to choose your neighbors.
Right.
But I at least have space to barbecue.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. I feel like for me, I'm adaptable to many situations. And so even when we first started talking about getting the house we ended up buying, I was mostly going along with it for you, because I could tell you really wanted a house. You know what I mean?
Oh man, what a weird road, because I was mostly going along with that house for you. Because I knew that if we were buying a house, it would need to be that house was closer to downtown. Hated the neighborhood. Still hate the neighborhood. Never liked the neighborhood.
All right. Say what you want.
There were things that were missing from the house. Like, there was stuff that there were quasi deal breakers for me
Yeah.
that I was just kind of putting off because it seemed like the middle ground between the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And if there wasn't enough reasons for you to be in love or to really want the house, and then same for me, then we shouldn't have got the dang house. So there was a level of maturity in the marriage that we had not reached yet to buy the house. And of course, you're going to have that in hindsight.
Right. But I would say in general, I feel like in the same way that I like the idea of having a big dog, my life is not conducive to having a big dog. That is how I feel about houses. I feel like houses are really great, and I can see the value that they add. And I'm not even talking about wealth and equity and all that kind of stuff. I can just literally investing in where you lay your head, you know? I see the value in a home, but I don't think it's very actually conducive to my lifestyle. I think I can make it work. I think I can thrive in that environment, but I don't actually... If I think about the bigger things or the grander, like, abstract things I want in my life, having a house is would probably hinder most of those things, because I'm all about having a certain level of freedom, and houses, to your point, cost a lot to maintain. They're kind of like cars. You need to, like, live in them to keep them up, you know? If you just let a house sit, it's going to start to decay over time. Like, it needs a body in it, kind of. And I'm interested in freedom. I'm interested in traveling. I'm interested in being abroad. I'm interested in being able to easily follow a story or just follow things. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But I wouldn't mind having, if I ever financially, or I guess if we ever financially get to a point where, yeah, your student loans are paid off and we somehow have down payment monies in the bank to afford $350,000 to $400,000 worth of house here, then, you know, sure, I guess. I'll be a little more inclined, because we'll actually be able to afford a house that I would enjoy. But to get one just to get one, I'm not that interested.
I mean, how much is a down payment? So 20%, I can't do math. 20% of $350.
Oh God.
Well, let's say it's $50,000 to $75,000.
Yeah.
So just with that money, because everyone says, well, I mean, you're paying, and I mean that's what we're paying now. It's like $1,600 or something like that for our apartment. They're like, oh, you know, for that money you can get a house. Like, no, with $50,000 or $75,000 down,
yeah,
then you can get something without insurance loan or insurance. What do you call it? Mortgage insurance. But for $50,000 or $75,000, I would just invest that.
Right.
Because you just put that in the general market, like the S&P, and you more or less get a 10% return.
Yeah.
Over 10 years. I mean, that's more than what you would accumulate. Like, I just don't understand.
Yeah, I mean,
calculation.
Having a house, it really does come down to, you just want one. Like, it's the same thing with kids. Like, you just want kids. That's it. Because kids are not necessarily the best investment. Like, financially, they're not really that great of an investment.
Right. So it's more of a move of the heart than of the mind.
Yeah,
really.
you just want a child. You just want a house, you know? And I'm not really someone who just wants a house. For me, I think it would be more about investing or needing to put money somewhere into something for whatever reason. Like, we live here in Texas, so it could end up being some kind of tax write-off situation for us.
I guess my biggest thing is that if with our current unit, I feel like the AC is not pushing out cold enough air, but I am reliant on management and or maintenance to make that determination of, no, it's fine enough. It's like, yeah, but is it really? Like, I can't call my own guy, even though I'm willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
I can't call our own independent, AC person to come and check out the AC.
I mean, sure, that's like a minor detail, though.
Sure.
Because, like, if
the fridge goes out, we don't have to pay for that.
Right.
Which it did.
Right. Well, it's just like, if we have a house, a traditional house, then, yeah, the AC goes out. It's kind of the difference between iPhone and Android. You know, with Android, yeah, you get the beauty of being able to really customize your phone. The problem is the
wow.
battery life's going to be kind of shit after a while because you're doing so much extra stuff on it. There's going to be bloatware. There's going to be all this.
There's always bugs.
There's going to be bugs. There's going to be defects for all this stuff. The beauty of the iPhone is that they don't let you do anything too epic with the phone unless you're a geeky person and know how to do absurd things on it. But because of that, the phone generally functions a lot better for a lot longer. The battery life tends to stay up, all these other kind of things. And you kind of sacrifice that control a little bit. And same thing with a house and versus renting. Like in renting,
That's a beautiful example.
I never have to actually fix something here. Like if things keep breaking, that's on the rental people to figure it out. Obviously, I'm going to be a good tenant and not, mess up the apartment, pay my rent on time, all that kind of stuff.
Dang.
But I don't have to think about an AC going out. So like you're annoyed.
We get our own covered parking.
Yeah, like you're annoyed that the AC like is not keeping up, which is frustrating. But like it's cheaper than owning a house.
Yeah, I mean,
So.
I have come to terms with the fact that half of the apartment faces the sun.
Yeah, like this is kind of what it is, So
I know what we need to do, and I'm finally going to do it.
okay,
And it's going to be the window tint. Like, I think we need the window tint to keep
definitely.
the heat out.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to make enough financial sense. We're paying almost $180 in electricity.
Which we used to pay that
It's
at
great.
Hasman.
We did not pay 180.
We paid that.
We
one
did
time
not
at
pay
Hasman.
180.
We did, and you lowered everything real quick after
Did
that.
I?
Yes, you did. We had that one bill that came in that was like $150 or something, and you were like, "No," and then all of a sudden
But we were still comfortable.
we needed to figure out how to,
We figured
turn
it out.
fans on and stuff or whatever. So
And fans are your friend, man.
anyway,
Evaporative cooling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. So I was initially going to say I did want to own another house again.
Yeah.
But you just made such an eloquent argument that I realized, no, I would not.
I think you would. I think you
don't think-
just want one.
I don't think we would have, it's all the nitpicky things. I would not find the right neighborhood. We're not going to find the right house. Because, so what would I look for in a house? I want covered parking. Like, I still want a garage.
Yeah.
If nothing else, just to house the cars.
Right.
So that, we get hail every so often.
Sure.
So,
I drive a hoopty, so I don't really be caring
well,
about this
that's
stuff.
going to change in a little bit.
We'll see. But yeah.
Well, yeah. So, it's protecting the cars. I want a small yard. I don't want too much yard.
Mm-hmm.
Be at least 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, like a 2-2 situation of some kind.
The kitchen is where, I do a lot of the cooking.
Yeah.
So the kitchen would have to be spacious enough.
Yeah.
It can't be, preferably not galley.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that's on sale or for sale in San Antonio, a lot of these older neighborhoods, my God, the decor is so dated.
Yeah.
Pastel colors. You still got that step down living room situation.
Well, it's this weird combo of, what is it? New century modern. I think that's the term for the house style.
No, I don't know.
I think it's something like that. New century modern or something like that. Those words. But then we're in San Antonio, so there's still a very strong Spanish influence with the new century modern. So it's just a weird. I've seen it done really well, where it does feel spacious and airy, and the pastels are nice and all that kind of stuff. It's fun, and then but usually it's just kind of like epic pinks, not just kind of broken down in white a little bit, add a little bit more white to the paint to kind of calm it down a bit, a hint of color.
It's stuff that hasn't been renovated in decades.
Give me a hint of pink, not I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world pink,
A lot of them still have what is it? It's not it's like a study almost.
It's like a den.
But it's all wood.
Yeah.
There's wood everywhere. Stained, unstained. It's just
I think it would be considered a formal sitting room. It's of the generation that still kind of had sitting rooms in houses. So it wasn't a living room. It wasn't a dining. It's just sitting. Yeah, it's a sitting room.
I just can't get into that. It's very cabin. giving me cabin vibes. Anyway, I mean, a lot of the houses are dated. You still got, like, there's a high entry point just to buy the house, let alone having to renovate it.
Right.
So then you get into the space that's not really yours. So again, there's the upfront cost. So can I even afford the house? Then there's the upfront cost of, well, so the house doesn't really feel like mine because obviously some other people decorated and designed it decades ago, and I still can't get them out of the house because I don't have enough money.
Yeah, so you're just kind of living in it for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah. I feel like there's a little bit of symbolism for me too. Like if I buy a house, at least here in San Antonio, then it's like I'm committing to living in San Antonio. I'm committing to living in San Antonio, which I don't know if I'm down to do yet. I think I was down to do it last year. Yeah, I think last year I was really into like, I'm a San Antonian. I live here now. But yeah, 2020, I've just been like, do I live here though? And not because San Antonio's bad or anything like that. It's a really great city. It's a really great city to settle down in for sure. Really good family city, strong family ties. It's great. But I also think a lot about my career as well and where it's at. And so I feel like I've been really fighting the push to move to California because I feel like a lot of my channel is about documenting my life. And I feel like if I move to California, then it's just like, y'all know what California looks like. Like all of mainstream media happens out of California. Like, you know what New York is. You know what LA is. You know, so I really internally fight that urge of having to move to California just for more opportunity. Because I feel like I like that San Antonio, I feel like keeps me grounded in a lot of ways. What is your reality rather than what is, like, not that an LA reality isn't real. It's just, it's a very nuanced reality, you know?
Right.
That I think makes me then incapable of connecting with a larger audience. So I've been fighting that urge too, but I feel like part of me does feel like, dang, do I have to like move there or whatever to hit the next tier of film, video, whatever stuffs, you know? Or can I just like go to Germany and that be the thing that I do? I'm just in Germany now.
But I think if money was no object,
oh yeah, I mean, if money was no object,
then we would buy a house.
Then sure.
If we were like one of those YouTube families, or if you were that big of a YouTuber where you were just like, oh yeah, we just buy.
Yeah.
We're just buying a house because, and I would want to buy a house that feels like home and make it my home. And I can't do that.
No?
I don't feel like
I mean, in an apartment, you can't do that.
In a house. Like, I can't buy a house.
Oh.
Without, and again, if we can't renovate it or we can't do the changes, then it's like, then the house isn't going to feel like home for I don't know how many years until we could save up enough or take out a microloan or whatever.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So if I can't find a space and then manipulate that space into feeling like it's home,
yeah,
then I mean, I just think we're not making enough money.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we're not.
Well, no, that's not true. It's not like, it's because I have student loan payments.
Oh.
Which is.
Yeah.
Because if we didn't have the student loan payments,
then we probably, we could like legitimately.
I mean, in about a year, we would have
be looking for
almost
a house.
a down payment.
Yeah, for sure. True.
So if you're right, if I didn't have that debt burden, then yeah, we would probably I would feel more financially secure.
Mm-hmm.
But until that becomes the case, or we end up making a lot more money, it's not going to be that thing.
Speak it.
So will we ever buy another house? Maybe. I would leave it open-ended.
You'd leave it open? I mean, sure. I guess never say never or whatever with that. But if you're asking me that question based on how I feel currently in the current present moment and doing a thing that I don't usually I tend to think ahead about most things in life. The two things I can't think ahead really well on are kids and house. Like I just now, when people are like, do you think you'll ever want kids? I literally am like, I don't know. It's leaning towards no.
Yeah.
For the most part, but I don't know. And then with house, it's just kind of like, I don't know. That's literally how I would respond. I don't know. Maybe.
Again, if you could just play fast and loose with mortgages and like with the payments and stuff, then it's like, yeah, that's fine.
What do you mean, it's fast and loose?
I mean, if you feel like you could afford it.
Oh.
It's the same thing with kid. Like, I mean, if you feel like you could afford it emotionally, then yeah, I mean, you would do it.
Sure.
But I don't feel like I'm in that space. I mean, if I had the amount of money that I'm putting to student loans just to play with,
yeah,
then yeah, I feel like we would be at that space.
Sure.
But
sure.
and then it would be more, but do we want to? Is this the location that we want a house in?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think we have that luxury yet.
No. And I think for me it is also like so like say if we did buy a house, then yeah, I'd probably want either a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom or something like that. Because then it's like, okay, if I'm setting up roots here, then I want to do it in the most optimal way. So I need an office or a shared office for us or something like that. And then a guest room. But the guest room and the office cannot be the same thing. So then it's like 3 bedrooms and then 2 bathrooms. You know what I'm saying? So then like there becomes, I feel like it teeters me into a different mindset that I don't know if I like. You know? I feel like I teeter in, if I start thinking about a house, then I teeter into, it's not opulence, but I start to teeter more into like...
You start thinking grander.
Yeah, and I don't actually think I like that I think grander. Because as you know, when I look at houses on like on these apps...
Yeah, you look at $1 million+
Yeah, I
homes.
look at $1 million houses when I look at the apps and stuff because generally, like you said...
They have more character.
They have more character, or they have what I actually feel like if I am going to pay for and stay here for a while, what I actually want, you know? And so I'll end up having to look at like a $1 million, $1.5 million
or even like
house.
$700,000.
Or seven. Yeah, it's like the lowest is usually like $600K.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of like, yeah, but I know full well I cannot afford that. And I'm going to go ahead and say I would love to be able to afford that one day in my life, you know, if I'm ever doing it big. So that way when I do have that money, I know what I want. But, you know, in the meantime and in between time, why am I then spending the money on something that I know I don't really want? I would do it for you again, though. And that's kind of the same thing I say about kids, too. Like, I'm lukewarm on kids, but if you ever tell me that you want them, then...
Yeah, but I'm not going to drag you kicking and screaming into either one.
Well, I'm not even saying that it's kicking and screaming. I would willingly go. It's a choice, and I'm making that choice to do it for you.
I just don't know if we could find a set of circumstances, aside from, like, a good amount of money.
Right.
To put us back into a house. Because, yeah, you're right. I would not... And we would look. We would look for months.
Yeah.
If not a year.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the realtor would just have to be like, all right.
Yeah, bear it with us.
We're just looking at houses. We would be in the right headspace. It's like, yeah, I mean, if we find something, we're going to execute. Like, we're not just going to talk it over or, you know, kick it around. Mm-hmm. It's going to be
if we know ourselves well.
Right.
Like, well enough now. Yeah, if we had that type of money and we walked into it and we were both like, oh, this is great. Yeah, there wouldn't need to be, like, extensive conversations or anything. Good question, Patreon producer.
I didn't think we were going to talk. I thought after the first 25 minutes we were just going to cut. But yeah, no, it's talked about it.
You peeled back the wound. Yeah, not in a bad way. Not at all. It was good conversations. Good check-in. It's good check-in for us. For sure.
Yeah, I think as a result of 2018, I'm just not willing to compromise.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I can't afford any of the stuff that I want, then it's like, well, we ain't buying one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
That's a positive spin on it.
That's how we do it.
Chris isn't traumatized. He just knows what he wants.
He's just resolute.
Yeah.
He's resolute now. And so is Hallease. She is resolute.
But I love you.
I love you too.
And I'm more frustrated at myself for allowing 2018 to happen.
Oh, I mean,
because that's what happened.
2019 was worse than 2018 for me, so.
Still, for allowing 2018 to 2019 to happen.
I guess.
The fallout of it.
Oh. I still feel like 2018 had to happen. I feel like because of that experience, I know myself so much better now.
No, I agree. And I know you that much better. And then I wouldn't have had my epiphany about debt and finances that I did.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. It did need to happen. It's just way too painful.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not that painful. It's more just like I understand what I want if we were ever going to buy a house or invest that much money ever again.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, this was good.
This was
cleansing.
It was cleansing, right? Thanks, Patreon producer, for giving us this topic.
But you too can submit topics if you go to patreon.com/ or
just
patreon.com/Hallease.
Yeah.
HALLEASE.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Bye.